Sign it." Victoria Harrison slammed the divorce papers on the table, her diamond rings catching the light like weapons. Emma didn't flinch. 3 years of marriage had taught her how to keep her face blank while her heart bled. "Did you hear me?" Victoria's voice dripped with contempt. "Or are you too stupid to understand simple English?" Emma looked at the woman who had made her life hell since the day she married her son. Mrs. 1, Victoria Harrison, the self-proclaimed queen of the Harrison family, wife of Richard Harrison, mother of the man Emma had loved with everything she had. "I heard you," Emma said quietly. "Then sign. My son deserves better than a gold-digging waitress." The irony almost made Emma laugh. Almost. 3 years ago she had walked into this family with nothing but love for Daniel Harrison. She had hidden everything, her identity, her wealth, her power, because she wanted to be loved for who she was, not what she owned. What a foolish mistake that had been. "Where's Daniel?" Emma asked. "My son is busy. Too busy to deal with trash like you." Victoria smiled, the kind of smile that preceded cruelty. "He sent me to handle this. You know, like taking out the garbage." The door opened, and Daniel walked in. Emma's heart still stuttered at the sight of him. Tall, dark-haired, with those green eyes that had once looked at her like she was his entire world. Now those same eyes looked through her like she was invisible. "You're still here," Daniel said coldly. "She won't sign," Victoria complained. "I told you she'd try to squeeze money out of us." "I don't want your money," Emma said. Daniel laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Right, that's why you married me, isn't it? A waitress landing a Harrison. Must have felt like winning the lottery. 3 years. 3 years of loving this man, of hiding her true self, of enduring his family's abuse because she believed he would eventually see her. Really see her. He never did." "I married you because I loved you," Emma said. The words felt heavy. Like stones she was finally setting down. "Loved me?" Daniel stepped closer, his face twisted with disgust. "You loved my family's money. My mother was right about you from the start." Victoria preened at her son's words. "I told you, darling. Women like her, they're parasites. They attach themselves to successful men and suck them dry." Emma remembered the day she met Daniel. She had been at a small cafe, deliberately dressed down, trying to escape the suffocating world of board meetings and billion-dollar decisions. He had spilled coffee on her laptop, her personal one, not the one worth more than his car, and had been so genuinely apologetic, so charming, so normal. She had fallen for the man who didn't know she could buy his entire family's company with her pocket change. And now, that same man was looking at her like she was dirt beneath his expensive shoes. "The terms are simple," Daniel said. Pulling out a chair and sitting down like this was a business negotiation. "You get nothing. No alimony. No property. You leave with exactly what you came in with. Nothing." "Daniel, don't. Don't." His voice was ice. "Don't say my name like you have any right to it. You were a mistake, Emma. A 3-year mistake that I'm finally correcting." The door burst open, and Margaret Harrison, Daniel's younger sister, waltzed in with her usual dramatic flair. At 25, she had never worked a day in her life, surviving entirely on her family's wealth and her talent for cruelty. "Oh good, the charity case is still here." Margaret clapped her hands in mock delight. "I was worried I'd missed the show." "Margaret, please," Daniel said, though his tone held no real reprimand. "What?" "I've been waiting 3 years for this moment." Margaret circled Emma like a predator. "Do you know how embarrassing it's been? Telling my friends that my brother married a waitress. They laughed at me, Emma, because of you." "That must have been so hard for you," Emma said flatly. Margaret's eyes narrowed. Was that sarcasm? From you? She turned to her mother. "Mom, the help is getting uppity." Victoria's hand connected with Emma's face before anyone could react. The slap echoed through the room. Emma's cheek burned. But she didn't raise her hand to touch it. She didn't give them the satisfaction. "Know your place," Victoria hissed. "You came into this family with nothing. You'll leave with nothing, and you should be grateful we're not throwing you out on the street tonight." Daniel said nothing. He just watched, his face carefully blank. That hurt more than the slap, more than the insults, more than 3 years of humiliation. His silence, his complicity, his cowardice. "I want her out by tomorrow," Victoria declared. "Richard is closing the Mitchell deal, and I won't have this embarrassment lurking around when the Mitchells come for dinner." The Mitchell deal. Emma kept her expression neutral, but inside, something shifted. The Mitchell Corporation had been trying to partner with Harrison Industries for months. It was a make-or-break deal for the Harrisons. Their company had been struggling, though they hid it well behind designer clothes and expensive cars. What the Harrisons didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Mitchell Corporation was a subsidiary, a small piece of a much larger empire. Her empire. "Fine," Emma said quietly. "I'll sign." Victoria's eyebrows shot up. "What?" "I'll sign the papers. I'll leave tomorrow. I won't take anything." Emma reached for the pen. "But I want one thing." "You're not in a position to negotiate," Daniel said sharply. "It's small, meaningless, really." Emma met his eyes. "I want to be at the dinner tomorrow. One last dinner as a Harrison. Then I'll disappear from your lives forever." The family exchanged glances. "Why?" Margaret demanded. "So you can embarrass us one more time?" "No. So I can say goodbye properly." Emma made her voice small, wounded. 3 years of my life, Margaret. I just want closure." Victoria studied her with suspicious eyes. "You'll behave? No scenes? No dramatics?" "I'll be invisible. I promise." Daniel shrugged. "Let her come. What's the harm? After tomorrow, we'll never see her again anyway." Emma signed the divorce papers with a steady hand. Victoria snatched them up immediately, as if afraid Emma might change her mind. "There. Finally. Now get out of my sight. And for tomorrow, wear something decent for once. I don't want the Mitchells thinking we housed a homeless person." Emma nodded and walked toward the door. "Oh, and Emma?" Victoria's voice stopped her. "Don't forget, you came into this family as nothing. You're leaving as nothing. That's all you'll ever be." Emma didn't turn around. "We'll see," she whispered, too soft for anyone to hear. That night, Emma sat in the small guest room she had been banished to 6 months ago. Victoria had declared the master bedroom too good for someone of her status. She pulled out a phone, not the cheap smartphone the Harrisons had seen her use. A different one. Sleek, black, encrypted. "Miss Chen." Her assistant's voice was crisp, professional. "We weren't expecting your call until next week. Change of plans, Rebecca. I need everything ready by tomorrow evening." A pause. "Everything, ma'am. Everything. The Mitchell situation, the Harrison financials, and..." Emma looked at her reflection in the dark window. "Prepare the jet. I'll be leaving New York after tomorrow." "Understood." "Should I inform the board?" "No. This is personal." "Of course." "And, ma'am, it's good to hear your voice. We've missed you." Emma smiled faintly. "I've missed me too." She ended the call and pulled up a file on her phone. Harrison Industries financial records. She had obtained them months ago. Not that it had been difficult. The Harrisons' security was laughably weak. The numbers told a story the family desperately wanted to hide. They were drowning. Bad investments. Mounting debts. A lifestyle they could no longer afford but refused to give up. The Mitchell deal wasn't just important to them, it was their last lifeline. And Mitchell Corporation reported directly to Chen Global Holdings, which reported directly to her. Emma Chen, not Emma Harrison, the name she had buried 3 years ago when she wanted to find love without the weight of billions attached to it. Tomorrow, Emma Harrison would die, and Emma Chen would rise from her ashes. The next evening, the Harrison mansion was transformed. Crystal chandeliers sparkled. Fresh flowers adorned every surface. The staff, hired specifically for the occasion, moved with practiced efficiency. Victoria had outdone herself. Every detail screamed wealth and sophistication, the kind of desperate performance people put on when they were trying to convince others, and themselves, that they still belonged to a world that was slipping away from them. Emma descended the stairs in a simple black dress. Nothing designer, nothing expensive looking, exactly what the Harrisons expected from her. Margaret looked her up and down with visible disgust. Couldn't you at least try? God, this is embarrassing. Leave her alone, Daniel said, though his tone suggested he agreed with his sister. Let's just get through tonight. The doorbell rang. Victoria transformed instantly. Her cold expression melted into a warm, welcoming smile. Her rigid posture softened. She became the perfect hostess, gracious and charming. The Mitchells are here. Everyone, positions. Emma almost laughed at the absurdity. Richard Harrison, Daniel's father, a man who had spoken maybe 20 words to Emma in 3 years, opened the door with a flourish. James, so wonderful to see you again. James Mitchell stepped inside, a tall man in his 60s with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Behind him came his wife, his son, and a small entourage of assistants. Richard, Victoria. James nodded politely, but there was something in his demeanor, a tension, like he was waiting for something or someone. Please, please, come in. Victoria ushered them toward the living room. Drinks? We have a wonderful selection of. Drinks? We have a wonderful selection of. Actually, James interrupted, I believe we're waiting for one more person. Richard frowned. One more? I thought this was the full party. We have a special guest joining us. She insisted on being here for this meeting. James checked his watch. She should arrive any moment. Victoria's smile tightened. Unexpected guests meant unexpected variables. She didn't like variables. She didn't like variables. Of course, any friend of yours is welcome in our home. Emma stood quietly in the corner, invisible as promised. No one paid her any attention. The insignificant soon-to-be ex-wife. The waitress who had dared to reach above her station. The doorbell rang again. Ah, that must be her, James said. One of the hired staff moved to open the door, but Emma stepped forward. I'll get it, she said quietly. Victoria shot her a look but didn't object. After all, it was suitable work for someone like Emma. Answering doors, serving guests, knowing her place. Emma opened the door. Rebecca stood there in her signature charcoal suit, tablet in hand, earpiece in ear. Behind her were 4 more people, Emma's core team. Her inner circle, the people who had helped her build an empire, while the Harrisons thought she was scrubbing their floors. Ms. Ma, Chen, Rebecca said formally, loudly enough for the room to hear. Everything is prepared as you requested. The room went silent. Emma turned to face the Harrisons. Daniel's face was frozen in confusion. Victoria looked like she was trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. Margaret had stopped mid-sip, her wine glass hovering near her lips. I'm sorry, Victoria said slowly. But who exactly are you people? And why are you calling her Ms. Chen? James Mitchell stepped forward, his entire demeanor changed. Gone was the polite businessman. In his place stood someone almost deferential. Allow me to introduce everyone to our special guest. Or perhaps I should say, allow me to introduce everyone to my boss. Your boss. Richard's voice cracked. Emma Chen, founder and CEO of Chen Global Holdings, owner of Mitchell Corporation, and as of 6 months ago, majority shareholder of James paused for effect, Harrison Industries. The wine glass slipped from Margaret's fingers. It shattered on the marble floor, but no one moved to clean it. Victoria laughed. It was a brittle, disbelieving sound. This is ridiculous. Emma is a waitress. She has nothing. She is nothing. Emma smiled. It was not the meek, apologetic smile they were used to. Rebecca, please show Mrs. Harrison the documentation. Rebecca handed Victoria a tablet. The screen showed Chen Global Holdings' corporate structure, the subsidiaries, the assets, the net worth, $47 billion. Victoria's hands shook. This has to be fake. Daniel, tell me this is fake. Daniel hadn't moved, hadn't spoken. He was staring at Emma like he had never seen her before. Because he hadn't 3 years ago, Emma said, her voice calm and clear. I walked into a cafe wanting to feel normal, wanting to be seen as a person, not a bank account. A man spilled coffee on me and apologized so sincerely that I thought, maybe I found someone who could love me for me. She walked toward Daniel slowly, deliberately. I hid my identity because I wanted to be loved. Not my money, not my company, just me. She stopped in front of him. Do you know what I learned instead, Daniel? He didn't answer. Couldn't answer. I learned that the man I loved was a coward. A mama's boy who watched his family abuse his wife and said nothing. Did nothing. Emma tilted her head. You could have stopped them. Even one word of defense, even one moment of kindness. But you chose silence, every single time. Emma, I don't. The word was sharp enough to cut. You don't get to speak. Not anymore. For 3 years you silenced me. Now it's your turn to listen. She turned to face Victoria. You called me a gold digger, a parasite, trash. Emma smiled coldly. Would you like to know what I was actually doing while you thought I was suffering in silence? Victoria's face had gone gray. I was buying your company out from under you, piece by piece, share by share. Every time you humiliated me, I bought more. Every slap, every insult, every time you made me clean toilets in my own home, I added it to the tab. Emma pulled up her phone and turned it toward Victoria. This is your family's debt. Every loan, every bad investment, every lie you told investors, I own all of it now. Richard Harrison stepped forward, his businessman's instincts kicking in despite the shock. Now, let's not be hasty, he said, attempting his most charming smile. Clearly, there's been some misunderstanding. Emma, sweetheart, we're family. Whatever differences we've had, sweetheart. Emma's voice cut through his words like a blade. In 3 years, you've spoken to me exactly 23 times. I counted. 23 times, and 18 of those were to tell me to fetch something for you. Richard's smile faltered. You treated me like staff, Richard. No, worse than staff. At least you paid them. Victoria had recovered enough to find her voice. This is extortion. You married into this family under false pretenses. We'll sue me for what exactly? Emma asked calmly. For not telling you I was rich. There's no law against that. For buying shares in a public company. Perfectly legal. For keeping records of every time your family violated employment laws, tax codes, and basic human decency. She smiled. I actually have very good lawyers who would love that lawsuit. James Mitchell cleared his throat. Perhaps we should discuss the real reason we're here tonight. Victoria whirled on him. You knew about this, and you still what? Pretended to negotiate a deal your company desperately needs? James shrugged. Ms. Mao, Chen requested I play along. I report to her. It wasn't a difficult decision. The deal, Richard said slowly, realization dawning. There is no deal, is there? Oh, there's a deal, Emma said. Just not the one you imagined. She walked to the center of the room, and somehow, without changing anything about herself, she seemed taller, more commanding. The woman the Harrisons had dismissed as worthless had vanished. In her place stood someone who commanded ballrooms and shaped markets. Here's what's going to happen, Emma said. At 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Chen Global Holdings will announce a complete acquisition of Harrison Industries. Not a partnership, not a merger, an acquisition. You can't do that! Richard sputtered. The board works for me now. I own 53% of your company, Richard. I've owned the majority for 4 months. I just didn't feel like mentioning it. Margaret finally found her voice. Daddy, do something. But Richard had gone pale. The numbers were clicking in his head. The declining stock price. The shareholders who had quietly sold their stakes. The board members who had stopped returning his calls. It had been her. All of it. For months. The Harrison family, Emma continued, will lose everything. The company, the mansion, the cars, the vacation homes. Every asset will be liquidated to cover your debts. Debts which, I should mention, I now hold. Victoria swayed on her feet. Margaret caught her arm. You'll have nothing, Emma said, echoing Victoria's words from yesterday. You'll leave with exactly what you deserve. Nothing. Emma, please. Daniel finally moved, stepping toward her with desperate eyes. I know I made mistakes. I know I should have stood up for you. But this, destroying my family, this isn't you. Emma looked at him for a long moment. You're right, she said softly. It isn't me. The real me would have walked away 3 years ago. The real me would never have married a man who needed his mother's permission to love his wife. I did love you, no. You loved the idea of me, the quiet, grateful, simple girl who worshipped the ground you walked on. Emma shook her head. You never saw me, Daniel. Not once. And honestly, that's not entirely your fault. I didn't let you see me. She turned away from him. But your silence, your compliance while your family destroyed me piece by piece, that's on you. Every single time you watched your mother humiliate me and said nothing, that was a choice. Your choice. I was trying to keep the peace. No, you were being a coward. Emma's voice held no anger, just tired truth. And cowardice has consequences. Victoria suddenly lunged forward, grabbing Emma's arm with desperate fingers. Please, she whispered, all pretense of dignity gone. Please, I have friends, a reputation. I can't lose everything. I'll do anything. I'll apologize. You'll apologize. You'll apologize? Emma gently removed Victoria's hand from her arm. You slapped me yesterday. You've called me trash, vermin, and worse things I won't repeat. You made me clean bathrooms in a house I could have bought 100 times over. And now you want to apologize? Tears were streaming down Victoria's face. Real tears, perhaps for the first time in years. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Exactly. Emma's voice was quiet but devastating. You didn't know I was rich, which means if I really had been a poor waitress, someone with no power, no resources, no way to fight back, you would have treated me exactly the same way. Worse, probably. Victoria's mouth opened and closed. Your apology isn't about regret, Victoria. It's about fear. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry it's coming back to bite you. Emma stepped back, addressing the room. I spent 3 years studying this family, learning how you operate, watching how you treat people you consider beneath you. She paused. The staff you underpay and overwork. The small vendors you squeeze until they break. The competitors you destroy through lies and manipulation. Richard's face reddened. Did you think no one was keeping track? That your actions didn't have consequences because you were the Harrisons? Rebecca stepped forward with her tablet. Ms. Chen, the press release is ready for your approval. Read it. Rebecca cleared her throat. Chen Global Holdings announces the complete acquisition of Harrison Industries effective immediately. In a statement, CEO Emma Chen revealed that the Harrison family engaged in systematic financial fraud, including falsified quarterly reports, undisclosed debts, and illegal insider trading. All evidence has been forwarded to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Stop! Richard shouted. You can't. We'll go to prison. Yes, Emma said simply. You will. There has to be something, Daniel said desperately. Something you want. Money? We'll find it. Apology? I'll get on my knees right now. Just please, don't send my parents to prison. Emma studied him. For a moment, just a moment, she saw the man she had fallen in love with, the one who had apologized so sincerely for spilled coffee, the one who had made her laugh, the one who had promised to love her forever. But that man had been an illusion, or perhaps he had been real once, before his family's poison corrupted him completely. Do you remember what you said to me yesterday? Emma asked quietly. You said I was a mistake. A 3-year mistake you were finally correcting. Daniel flinched. You called our marriage, our life together, a mistake. Something to be disposed of. Corrected. Emma's voice was steady, but something flickered in her eyes. Do you have any idea how that felt, after everything I gave up for you? Everything I endured? I didn't mean you meant every word. That's the problem. Emma turned to Rebecca. The staff. The household employees, how many? 14 full-time, ma'am, plus 6 part-time. Severance packages for all of them. 6 months' salary, full benefits, job placement assistance through our HR department. Rebecca nodded, making notes. The gardener, the old man the Harrisons refused to give health insurance to even though he'd worked here for 15 years. Thomas, ma'am, full pension. Medical coverage for life. His wife needs hip surgery. Make sure it's covered. Victoria made a strangled sound. She had denied that same request just 2 months ago, calling it unnecessary expense. The housekeeper's daughter. The one who needed tuition assistance. Maria's daughter. She's pre-med, full scholarship, whatever school she gets into. Daniel stared at her. You know all of them by name. I know everyone your family ever dismissed as unimportant. Emma met his eyes. Because I was one of them. And unlike you, I actually paid attention to the people around me. Margaret suddenly burst into tears. This isn't fair. I didn't do anything. It was all Mom and Dad. I was just what? Just calling me the help every chance you got? Just spilling wine on my clothes accidentally before family events? Just telling all your friends that your brother married a gold-digging whore? Margaret's tears stopped abruptly. Yes, I heard about that. Your friend Chelsea was quite chatty after I bought her father's company. Emma tilted her head. Did you really think your actions existed in a vacuum? That you could treat people like garbage and never face consequences? I'm 25. I don't even work for the company. No, you don't work at all. You spent your entire adult life spending money you didn't earn, looking down on people who actually work for a living, and contributing absolutely nothing to society. Emma shrugged. Maybe this will be good for you, learning what it's like to actually need a job, to worry about rent, to be judged by what you can do instead of what your family owns. You're a monster, Margaret whispered. No, I'm just not a victim anymore. Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled faintly. The Wall Street Journal just picked up the story. The Financial Times is confirming. Your stock price is already dropping in after-hours trading. She showed the screen to Richard. Down 18% and falling. Richard looked like he might have a heart attack. By morning, Harrison Industries won't exist. By next week, your homes will be seized. By next month, you'll be testifying before a grand jury about financial fraud. Victoria collapsed onto the couch, all strength gone from her legs. Margaret was openly sobbing. Richard stood frozen, watching his entire world crumble. Only Daniel moved. He walked toward Emma slowly, stopped just a few feet away. You planned this from the beginning, didn't you? His voice was hollow. From the moment we met, it was all a plan. Emma was quiet for a moment. No, she finally said. When I met you, I genuinely wanted to find love. I genuinely hoped you would see me, really see me, and love me anyway. She paused. The plane came later. After the first time your mother called me worthless and you said nothing. After the first time you told me to just ignore her instead of defending me. So this is my fault? All of this? No, Daniel. This is everyone's fault. Your mother's cruelty. Your father's indifference, your sister's pettiness, and your cowardice. Emma's voice softened just slightly. If any one of you, just one, had shown me a single moment of genuine kindness, we wouldn't be here right now. What do you mean? I mean I gave your family chance after chance. For 3 years I kept hoping someone would prove me wrong. That somewhere, underneath all the cruelty, there was something worth saving. Emma shook her head. There wasn't. She turned away from him. Rebecca, we're done here. Have the legal team proceed with everything. Yes, Miss Chen. Emma walked toward the door. The same door she had entered as a nervous bride 3 years ago, hoping for a life of love and partnership. Wait, Daniel called. Emma, wait, please. She stopped but didn't turn around. If I had defended you, if I had stood up to my family, would it have been different? Emma was silent for a long moment. I don't know, she finally said, but you'll never know either. And that's something you'll have to live with. I loved you, Daniel whispered. I know I was weak. I know I failed you. But I did love you. In my own broken way, I loved you. Emma turned, just slightly. I know you did. That's the saddest part. Her eyes glistened, but no tears fell. Loving someone isn't enough, Daniel. Love without courage is just cowardice with a prettier name. She walked out the door. Behind her, she heard Victoria's wailing begin. Margaret's hysterical screaming. Richard's choked attempts to call someone, anyone, who might help. And Daniel's silence. Always, always silence. 1 month later, Emma stood on the balcony of her penthouse, looking out over the New York skyline. The city sparkled below, indifferent to the dramas playing out in its millions of lives. Rebecca appeared beside her with a tablet. The Harrison updates, Miss Chen. Go ahead. Richard Harrison was indicted yesterday. 12 counts of securities fraud. Victoria has filed for divorce. Apparently, she's trying to distance herself from the criminal proceedings. Emma nodded. Margaret Harrison was evicted from her apartment last week. She's staying with a college friend. Rumor has it she's applying for retail jobs. And Daniel? Rebecca hesitated. He's been trying to contact you. Every day. Letters, emails, attempts to get past security. He says he needs to speak with you, that he has something important to say. Emma watched the lights of the city below. Does he? Should I continue blocking his attempts? Emma was quiet for a long moment. No, she finally said. Let him through, once. He can say whatever he needs to say. Rebecca looked surprised but nodded. I'll arrange it. 3 days later, Daniel Harrison sat across from Emma in her office. He looked different, thinner, paler. The expensive suits were gone, replaced by simple clothes that hung loosely on his frame. The arrogance that had always simmered beneath his surface had vanished entirely. Thank you for seeing me, he said quietly. You said you had something important to say. Daniel nodded. He stared at his hands for a long moment before speaking. I've spent the last month replaying our entire marriage in my head. Every moment, every conversation, every time my family treated you like dirt and I. He swallowed hard. And I just watched. Emma waited. You were right about everything. I was a coward. I told myself I was keeping the peace, protecting you from worse treatment. But really, I was just scared. Scared of my mother. Scared of confrontation. Scared of confrontation. Scared of being cut off from the family money. Is that what you came to tell me? No. I came to tell you that. He looked up, meeting her eyes. I came to tell you that I don't blame you. For any of it, what you did to my family. We deserved it. Every bit of it. Emma's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. I also came to tell you that I'm sorry, not because I want anything from you. Not because I think it changes anything. Just because. You deserve to hear it, a real apology. From someone who actually means it. Do you mean it? I've lost everything, Emma. My family. My money. My reputation, my entire identity. Daniel smiled faintly, a sad and broken thing. And the only thing I regret, the only thing that keeps me up at night, is that I never stood up for the woman I loved. Emma was quiet for a long time. I believe you, she finally said. Daniel's breath caught. I believe that right now, in this moment, having lost everything, you finally understand what you did wrong. And I believe your apology is genuine. But it doesn't change anything. Emma's voice was gentle but final. You had 3 years of chances, Daniel. 3 years to be brave, to choose me over your family's approval, to be the man I needed you to be. I know. And you chose silence every single time. I know. Emma stood and walked to the window. I hope you find peace, Daniel. I genuinely do. I hope you learn from this and become a better person. Find someone someday who you can love properly, with courage, not just feelings. And us? Emma turned to face him. There is no us. There hasn't been for a long time. Maybe there never really was. She paused. But I'm glad you came. I needed to hear that apology. And you needed to give it. Consider this. Closure. Daniel stood slowly. He looked at her one last time, really looked at her, and nodded. Goodbye, Emma. Goodbye, Daniel. Goodbye, Daniel. He walked out of her office, and Emma watched him go. She didn't feel triumphant. She didn't feel vengeful. She felt free. For the first time in 3 years, she felt completely, entirely free. Rebecca appeared in the doorway. Ms. Chen, the board meeting starts in 20 minutes. Emma smiled. I'm ready. She straightened her shoulders, lifted her chin, and walked forward into her future. A future she had built herself. A future no one could take from her. A future where she would never again hide who she was for anyone.